Buenos días, mi nombre es Vicente Campos, soy trompetista, catedrático de trompeta, doctor por la Universidad de Valencia y también director del Conservatorio Superior Salvador Segui de Castellón de la Plana, desde su fundación, hace 27 años. Vaya por delante mi más cariñoso saludo a todos los presentes y en especial a la comunidad de la Universidad de Leeds por haber acogido la presentación de nuestro trabajo en su prestigioso Congreso Internacional, con un panel completo dedicado al precedente medieval perdido del instrumento al que he dedicado prácticamente toda mi vida. El nuestro es el único centro público superior de España que cuenta con la especialidad completa de música antigua. Nuestra especialización, además, es igualmente la de la familia del viento metal, con 5 profesores y más de 100 alumnos dedicados al estudio de la trompeta, de la cual nuestro conservatorio es el que más especialistas acoge de toda España. El trabajo completo que vamos a presentar hoy por primera vez a la comunidad internacional se inscribe en un proyecto de investigación del Instituto Superior de Enseñanzas Artísticas de la Comunidad Valenciana, ISEAC, a quien agradecemos su interés y su apoyo a un proyecto multidisciplinar que comenzó durante el curso académico 24-25 y que incluye las siguientes líneas de actuación. A. La presentación como exclusiva mundial en prensa, radio, televisión y medios de difusión digital de las trompetas reconstruidas en el Conservatorio Superior de Música Salvador Segui de Castellón de la Plana en abril de 2023. B. La reconstrucción de la trompeta en U y del sacabuche oculto representados en el gran lienzo de las bodas de Caná del Veronés. C. La reconstrucción de las 3 trompetas en U que aparecen en las 3 únicas representaciones conservadas del instrumento en 2 códices medievales. D. La publicación y difusión del presente monográfico recién publicado sobre nuestros trabajos y sobre el estado del arte hasta este momento. E. La presentación de estos instrumentos en el contexto histórico y artístico que estamos considerando, a través de la celebración de diversas conferencias públicas en conservatorios y centros de música dependientes del ISEAC, a fines de formación y de divulgación. F. La presentación de estos instrumentos en ámbitos universitarios españoles y de la Comunidad Europea, como la Universidad Jaume I de Castellón de la Plana, UJI, la Universidad Politécnica de Valencia, UPV, o el Palau de la Música de Valencia, y también los 5 congresos internacionales a los que hemos asistido con motivo de nuestros trabajos previos sobre el lienzo del Veronés. G. El encargo y estreno mundial de 2 obras musicales para estos nuevos instrumentos durante el curso académico 25-26. H. Y por último, el diseño de un modelo de cada uno de estos instrumentos, incluyendo el sacabuche oculto del lienzo del Veronés, en un entorno gráfico de reconstrucción digital y 3D, a fines de investigación para futuros trabajos. Confío en que las presentaciones que vamos a hacer aquí hoy sean instructivas y resulten de interés para los presentes, y también en el futuro para que cuando se accedan a nuestro trabajo. Y sobre todo en que aporten un avance y un impulso nuevo a la existencia de un instrumento que hasta hoy había estado perdido durante más de 600 años y que solo había sobrevivido en las 3 miniaturas que vamos a mostrar en unos momentos. Las aportaciones de todos y cada uno de nosotros en sus respectivas especialidades han resultado todas ellas decisivas para que estos 3 instrumentos estampados en el libro de horas de Carlos el Noble, en la Biblia paduana y en las bodas de Caná de Veronés, los únicos testigos supervivientes del precedente medieval de las trompetas naturales, hayan vuelto a la vida en el marco de un proyecto de reconstrucción multidisciplinar. Las ponencias del panel serán presentadas y coordinadas a continuación por mi compañero Manuel Lafarga, a quien doy paso ya para mostrarles el camino que hemos recorrido juntos durante los últimos 3 años. Muchas gracias. Thank you very much. Uh,
Good morning. First, many thanks to the University of Leeds and especially to the Scientific Committee of International Medieval Conference, EMC, and also to the audience for paying attention to our work. Our team has combined strict historical research with that of art, music, and composition, painting, literary technique, performance, and acoustic analysis, both in relation to the objects we are dealing with and in relation to the nature of our respective disciplines. Our research arose from the recreation of an example of ancient trumpet depicted in the monumental canvas The Wedding at Cania by Paolo Cagliari, named Veronese, and from the previously published works carried out by two of us, Sanz and Lafarga. This instrument, carved in a U-shape, was the medieval precedent of trumpets, and there existed only 3 iconographic sources in miniatures from 2 Gothic illuminated books, dating back to around 1400. One of them is entirely similar to the one seen in Veronese's canvas, so this last one is therefore the 4th preserved source. Our work brings together historians, techniques, artists, and composers, one of them also a painter, who has recreated the successive consort that inhabited the canvas, Camarero, in addition to a luthier renowned for his previous designs with brass instruments, Scribano, and a virtuoso trumpet player, Campos, who has dedicated his entire life to the trumpet. As a result of this new line of research, we were also able to identify 3 historical antecedents for this instrument, which have come down to us in the 2 allotted illuminated books. This fortunate circumstance has allowed us to give them new life through the physical reconstruction of their shape and their sound, at time documenting the historical context in which they existed. Our work is thus focused on the first historical reconstruction of 3 different examples of an instrument that previously did not exist in a physical sense. Since there are no similar works in other languages either, we consider ours to be an original and innovative research. From left to right, Manuel Lafarga, Luis Escribano, Penélope Sanz, Jorge Camarero, and Vicente Campos. We can see the brief notice devoted to this project by the Valencian TV channel, Apunt, for the premiere of the 3 medieval trumpets reconstructed by our team. It was recorded in the cloister of our center the same day of the former conference on this topic, in April 2023.
De ser una trompeta pintada al quadre de les bodes de Caná del Veronese a convertir-se en una realitat. És el que han aconseguit uns investigadors del Conservatori de Música de Castelló de la Plana. El resultat, un instrument de vent de l'edat mitjana que ara és únic al món.
És l'obra monumental Les bodes de Caná del pintor Paolo Cagliari i el Veronese. D'entre totes les escenes que mostra, esta és en la que s'han fixat este equip d'investigadors. El motiu, este instrument que avui és una realitat després de 5 segles.
Sabien que d'aquest instrument només han sobreviscut 3 miniatures. L'instrument físicament no existia.
A més, la seva investigació els ha portat a poder reconstruir altres 2 trompetes presents en uns manuscrits de l'edat mitjana.
Les 3 trompetes tenen la característica de que toquen pa carrere, no toquen pa cavant com estem acostumats a veure-les. Era per avisar a les tropes.
Instruments de vent que sonen a la perfecció i que són únics al món. Elaborats amb fulla de llautó, la tècnica de reconstrucció ha estat la mateixa que es feia servir antigament.
Una vegada s'ha fet una fórmula per a poder averiguar quant és la distància real perquè l'instrument estigui afinat.
Un treball en progrés que possibilita que la música d'altres temps siga ben actual.
We are showing the X-ray image of the central scene of the wedding at Cania. It was published by Louvre Museum in 1992 in a brilliant chapter by Lola Failan Dumas. which allowed us to unravel the previous ensemble designs in a coherent order. There were 4 consecutive concerts till the current one with Violas da Gamba and Diego Ortiz. Nevertheless, the protagonist for the 4 previous musical formation was the Venetian painter Giorgio da Castelfranco, named Giorgione. First concert was the pending funeral mass for Giorgione, who died at Lazzaretto 50 years earlier because of the plague. He could not receive his Venetian citizen right, being buried in an anonymous grave. To the left, our free publication for this original ensemble, where the whole explanation of its arrangement is detailed. We have shown the original Giorgione's funeral concert at Baltimore on November 2023, 16th Century Studies Conference, through 2 papers by our team. Our findings on the monumental Veronese canvas were also introduced to the North American academic circles through the University of Maryland College Park in the context of GHA lectures, Diego Ortiz and Giorgione at the Wedding at Cana, the forgotten history of a famous canvas, organized by the Department of Art History and Archaeology at the Michelle Smith Collaboratory for Visual Culture. We have shown the original concert also at Boston on March 2025, Renaissance Society of America Conference, through two new papers by our team in relation with the true identity of the bride, Maria de Aragona, and her female relative's portrait at the canvas. Second concert for lutes had been previously introduced at Lucas International Conference of Music Patronage in Italy from the 15th to 18th century, organized by Luigi Boccherini Foundation on November 2019, and attended in our case by the prestigious Cambridge Music History editor Aya in Fenlon. Third concert was the first version of a new violin band, which actualized the musical fashion for this time at the Venetian confraternities, with Giorgione playing his first violin. Fourth concert was the second version for this modern instrumental ensemble, and included the emergence of 2 brass instruments, one for a trombonist monk, later disappeared, and a U-shaped trumpet beside the right side of the author, Paolo Cagliari. This ensemble, This ensemble was introduced to the international academic community in Castellón de la Plana on April 2023 at the Salvador Segui Conservatory, coinciding with the premiere of a reconstruction of this early trumpet by our team, in this case along with Luis Escribano, the luthier, and Vicente Campos, a brilliant trumpetist and the conductor of the institution. We may appreciate here the 2 brass instruments which were depicted in the Wedding at Cana by Veronese, both corresponding to the 4th music ensemble. The second violin band, which was contemplated by Diego Ortiz at the end of summer of 1563, few before the completion of canvas. The trombonist monk finally was hidden by the current cornetist.
Después pensamos que el cuadro, esta trompeta que está cogiendo este señor en el cuadro, así que se ve la mano, esto así es un trombón de varas, es un sacabuche. Entonces no sabemos si el sacabuche, eso tenemos que comprobarlo, el sacabuche que pintó el pintor en el cuadro, a lo mejor cogió esto y como decía Manuel, que hacían cosas,
la misma plantilla,
igual la dobló y dijo, ahora le pongo esta trompeta. el sacabuche está cogiendo la vara así, y eso no es la manera de coger la vara, eso tenemos que investigar un poco más. ¿Por qué coge el sacabuche así? Cuando el sacabuche se toca con la vara y se coge así, ¿me entendéis? Él lo coge así. Esta trompeta es el sacabuche invertido, pero claro, no lo sabemos.
That's okay. We are showing some of the news appeared in several Spanish printed and virtual media when the 3 reconstructions were introduced in our center in April 2023. This was a world exclusive and something else. These are other 2, Mediterranean newspaper, Cope radio, and this is El Mundo, I think so. 2 opus which allowed to perform in these trumpets have been commissioned for its premiere at Castellón de la Plana, Spain on 2025. Up Manuel Mas de Besa, also co-author to our recent monographic color publication. All presentations and publications we are mentioning are available through our webpage, www.theweddingatcania.org. All of our international conferences presentations are available through our YouTube channel, Manuel Lafarga. Well, these both, no, Musica Figura are private, are property of the University of Padua, where many of the guests of the wedding at Cania are studying for a week. On the occasion of the 25th anniversary of the foundation of Salvador Segui Conservatory, conducted from then to the present day by your colleague Vicente Campos, the center has been edited a monographic special issue devoted both to our project and to the brass instruments depicted by Veronese in his great canvas. ¿Puedes pasarnos los cuadernos, Luis? Las 3 publicaciones. Bueno, todo, si quieres todo. ¿No? Sí, ¿por qué no?
Honor de tener así a Manuel.
Well, I apologize for the sound, but it's in Spanish. What you need to understand is what is written, okay?
Colaboradora Penélope y en Jorge, que ell és pintor, també és músic, i entre tots estan investigant sobre el quadre este de Veronès que està en el Louvre de París. ¿Vale? El fet d'estar així nosaltres, com vingué ell, varen veure que en radiografies que hi ha instruments darrere del quadre i se varen decidir a fer aquests instruments. Així no entre la figura de Luis Escribano, que és el conegueu, que és el luthier, i entre ell i jo, en 4 trossos de tuberia i 4 coses, pues, hem fet unes còpies de les trompetes que estan en el quadre. Ara després anirem mirant-ho i anirem explicant-ho i explicarem un poc el procés que hem seguit per a fer això i que al final sona, perquè a voltes fan les coses i a voltes no eixia bé o no eix bé, però bueno, així no eixi mal del tot. Presentarem les trompetes, que ara les veureu i parlarem un poquet, i després anirem presentant-les. I explicarem un poc el tema de per què se tocaven per carrere, ara veureu les figuretes, d'on han tret les trompetes, d'on les han copiat, les medides que hem gastat per fer això, els patrons que hem gastat. El senyor Luthier s'ha oblidat una sèrie de coses que jo m'haver agradat ensenyar-vos, però demà no ens oblidaran, que era la planxa, la plantilla i tot això, les tisores, però això ho explicarem ahí. Sí, hoy vamos a hacerlo en valenciano, porque y después mañana lo haremos en castellano, para tener 2 versiones, para después pedir las subvenciones que toquen a los valencianos y a los castellanos. es que, claro, aquí hay un gasto de grupos de estos que alguien tiene que pagar, tío. Y no sé si lo paga uno que sea valenciano o otro que sea castellano. Pero nada, muchas gracias por estar aquí, muchas gracias por estar aquí. Y nada, y el que como Ángel, tú que aún no te has, esto se servirá para titularte en un buen título de valenciano.
Yo gana salida de darse su avena.
Yo, ahora por qué se lo firmaba ahí. Bueno, se lo firmaba Luis donde iba, él firmaba papeles. Bueno, pues adelante, el doctor Manuel Lafarga de la palabra.
Okay, we are concluding our presentation with this, with this last, the two accepted sources as the oldest, the two accepted sources as the oldest representations of a literary workshop for trumpets are that of Johann Christoph Weigel the Older in 1698, and that which appears in the French Encyclopedia edited by Diderot and D'Alembert in 1765. However, we believe that the oldest source is again that which appears on the same plate beside the third source we are dealing with, the U-shaped trumpet of the Paduan Bible, this time played by a human musician. And this is a little part of Luis Escribano Bass Luthier workshop. Then we begin with the first presentation, technical and performative, just in a moment. Escape. And this is our new. That's the little handicap. They speak French, but no English. Then I read their presentation and also mine, and later to finish, Penelope Sanz read her own in English. Well, this is the first of the three presentations. I hear voices. Yes, this is the order. We had now the presentation. This is the first one. We begin later, and this first is a performative and technical presentation. The second one is a historical aspect, and the third one is iconographical aspect. Okay. Yeah. The three surviving sources of U-shaped trumpets are found in two manuscripts written in the early 1400s. Two of them, from around 1405, appear in the Book of Hours of Charles the Noble, owned by the Cleveland Museum of Art. A third one appears in the so-called Paduan Bible, kept by the British Library. The fourth survival source is that which appears on Veronese's canvas. We have reconstructed these three iconographical sources, previously non-existent in a physical sense. The alloy chosen was copper, 68%, and zinc, 32%. Historical studies suggest that this was the most appropriate proportion for the sonority of the instrument. Renaissance luthiers were looking for their own hallmark, and therefore they turned to master foundries to choose their own alloys. We are showing the cloister of our center, the Conservatory of Music, Salvador Segui of Castellón de la Plana in Spain. For the reconstruction of the first of the three U-shaped trumpets, which coincides in shape and appearance with that of Veronese painting, we were especially inspired by the canonical model for the manufacture of Renaissance trumpets from the excellent work published in New York by the University of Oxford about the techniques used by the masters of the centuries we are considering.
¿Podrían decirnos en la fase de elaboración del instrumento o de los instrumentos que han recreado cuáles son estas fases de forma escueta?
En primer lugar, basándonos en el cuadro y en las miniaturas que hemos encontrado, empezamos a hacer un plano a una escala, porque ya sabes que el cuadro tampoco tiene la escala, a una escala para buscar primero las medidas que había que tener. Una vez sacadas las medidas, buscamos a los fabricantes de la época, cómo fabricaban y de qué manera digamos, la aleación que metían en tal. Después ya cortamos las planchas para doblarlas, para tener al final lo que es la trompeta ¿vale? Estas fue un poco las tres fases que empleamos. Investigamos en la época quién estaba construyendo, había varios constructores, Luis, ¿cuáles eran? ¿Te acuerdas?
Está Howling, Paul Howling, y luego está Snitcher, que es uno de los más reconocidos en el tema de...
Y a partir de ahí ya buscamos la afinación que nos interesaba, porque fuimos a una afinación de trompeta en re, ¿vale? En re, y cortamos para que el instrumento estuviera en re y se pudiera adaptar a tocar cosas de la época, melodías y algún compositor que también ha escrito cosas para que la trompeta suene.
To carry out the reconstructions, we have used drawing materials, metric rollers and calipers, an electronic tuning fork, plans based on Renaissance trumpet designs, oblique brass cutting scissors, trigger scissors, an anvil, jacks for prisoners to tie the pieces, a manual bender designed by Luis Escribano, steel molds, mandrels of various thicknesses, and ripples laid to shape the bell, a directional soldering torque to apply a 3-5 silver solder as used at that time, a rolling machine for the solders, a plastic hammer to shape the bell, and obviously the stretching bank for pipes. A funnel-shaped template was used for the making of the Renaissance bell, cut out with sheet metal scissors from models of that time. To shape it, a carbon steel mold was used, although occasionally and for certain finishing tasks, e.g. the bell garland, a hard wooden mold was used in the past, as we did here. The name of the manufacturer, the city, and the date of construction were often engraved on the already assembled surface of the garland, on the outer crown of the bell end. The bell of the second trumpet was made in the same way, while for the third, a herald's bell from ancient trumpet from an ancient instrument, was used, modified and adapted to a nearly cylindrical tube following the indication of Meucci, 1989, concerning the Etruscan liturgy and reducing it to the apparent dimensions of the device seen in the miniature of the Paduan Bible. Hammering was done by hand with a nylon hammer to avoid damaging the metal, although leather hammers were used at that time. It is practically impossible to remove all surface defects from metal, the worst of which being the cracks or bricks resulting from this activity, especially with the metal available in the Cinquecento. Among other reasons, because there was no objective method to measure the thickness of the metal sheet at each point and at each moment, nor to achieve a perfect rounding, especially in the bells. This problem lasted practically until the beginning of the Novecento, when industrial techniques based on new working machines and measuring instruments were applied to the manufacture and treatment of metals.
Es el molde de acero.
Es el molde que digamos que la plantilla donde se va a pegar la campana, donde se va a repujar para que dé la forma que nosotros deseamos.
Entonces, la campana, esto, una vez está hecho y está doblado, se pone aquí dentro. Se pone aquí dentro, ¿ves?
No lo levanta porque pesa mucho.
Se pone ahí dentro y se va trabajando En este caso, en el micro se trabajaban con martillos de piel, y aquí hemos trabajado con este martillo de nylon, se la va dando para que vaya cogiendo la forma del molde. Cuando más martillazos le das, más lo acoplas. Cuando más lo acoplas, mejor va a sonar esa campana. Mejor va a sonar esa campana. El martilleado se utiliza también hoy en día en todas las construcciones de los instrumentos de metal.
La parte que vemos en esa fotografía son los embellecedores, digamos que son la parte bonita, ¿vale? Que indica el instrumento ya se va a acabar, ¿vale? Entonces lo que vemos en esta foto, vemos la bola y luego lo que le llaman la RAN, ¿no? Es la que normalmente cualquier constructor de instrumentos graba su nombre y graba la fecha que se fabricó, bueno, el tema de fabricación, y tienes la verdadera copia, porque normalmente cuando se hacen instrumentos antiguos son copias de instrumentos que hay en museos, y eso los ha fabricado un fabricante. Y entonces pone el nombre del fabricante y suele ya ponerlo y grabarlo y colocarlo. Ahí lo que vemos es antes de colocarlo, antes de colocarse en el instrumento, digamos, antes de su posición.
Esta trompeta está acabada ya y esta aún se tiene que acabar, esto se tiene que poner por dentro, ahí dentro. Porque después, ahora lo explicaré, esto influye mucho en la sonoridad del instrumento y sobre todo en estos instrumentos que son tan pequeños. Y entonces la guirnalda, esto y el acabado de la campana, que es todo esto, después influye. Y prácticamente pues no pesa nada. Hay uno de cobre y hay uno de latón. No pesa nada, pero influye mucho después en la sonoridad del instrumento.
Sí, había un taladro ahí que lo has enseñado.
Sí, este tipo de herramientas es un taladro que se hacía para perforar, digamos en este caso cuando se hacen los agujeritos aquí para taladrar, se cogía y se taladraba. Iban dándole subiendo y bajando y iban haciendo, pues, claro,
el agujerito.
Eso no existía
Con mucha paciencia.
Pero
hoy está la Black and Decker.
Claro, hoy está la Black and Decker.
Black and Decker is an automatic.
Y en este caso, pues un punzón también, que no está, pero para marcar lo que son los agujeros, ¿no? Digamos que lo poníamos sobre la pieza y se iba marcando y a partir de ahí ya se trabajaba.
These are images of the first presentation on 2023.
Las dos partes que se hacen los cuencos pequeñitos y luego se unen.
Enseñamos que es la otra.
Digamos que estas dos medias bolitas, ¿vale? En este caso, esta no es la misma, pero bueno, es la misma forma de construcción que lleva. Se unen las dos mitades, se sueldan y después se le mete. Ahí vamos buscando la posición.
Exactamente. Ahí se está buscando que la bola tenga la posición adecuada. Ahora, después también, cuando toquemos, os lo explicaremos. Depende de dónde está la posición, el instrumento suena de una forma o suena de otra. Si está más hacia abajo o está más hacia arriba, puede cambiar totalmente el instrumento.
Vale. Se le suele poner un refuerzo y tú, claro, si la borla tiene que ir, digamos, aquí, se le hace un tamaño más, el agujero diferente y se le hace. Entonces nosotros pensamos que donde mejor sonaba, digamos, los armónicos era ahí, en esa posición, en esa medida. Ahí estamos lo que es repujando. Lo que es repujando es...
¿Qué es? Explícale a la gente que lo que es repujar.
Repujar es con un molde en este caso de acero que tiene la forma que tú quieres hacer, que es esta. Digamos que esta es esta pieza, ¿vale? Lo único que pasa es que ya está recortada. Se recortó para hacerla a la medida. ¿Sí? Y aquí lo que estamos es pegándola sobre el molde de aluminio, dándole la forma, con unas herramientas, con un tornillo repujado, digamos, ¿ves? Y luego se va comprobando, tenemos ahí la plantilla para comprobar que más o menos va a ir en el sitio donde...
Y ahí es donde ponéis el nombre,
Exacto, y es luego cuando ya está acabado es donde se pone, digamos, el nombre del fabricante, el año, de quién es la copia de la campana, si la campana es Johan o si es de otro constructor. Y ahí ves cómo va a ir colocada la guirnalda. Hay varios modelos hechos aquí, pero elegimos el que más adecuado pues,
The usual point for ball adjustment was located halfway along the total length of the bell tube, approximately where it begins to widen at the point of union between both segments. It is possible to readjust this location by following the interpreter's instructions regarding the improvement of the sonority in the emission and timbre of certain harmonics. For the bending process of the main curve, a tool designed specifically for these instruments was used, proceeding to bend it after filling the tube with lead, following the ancient method. The most common typical curvature in the Cinquecento in Nuremberg, also for Schnitzer family makers, had a diameter of 8 centimeters. We have maintained this proportion for the second of the two trumpets played by the chimeras, while in the case of the one represented in the Paduan Bible, the shorter one, we have used a diameter of approximately 14 centimeters. In the case of the trumpet on Veronese's canvas, however, a diameter of 6.5 centimeters was chosen. Just in a moment, you can hear Vicente play the trumpets. But first,
en comparación con otros instrumentos que ha realizado, ¿qué dificultades concretas le ha supuesto, o desafíos concretos le ha supuesto la realización de este instrumento o el de las miniaturas?
El de las miniaturas porque es más difícil, ¿vale? Porque son miniaturas, no existen realmente. Entonces nos hemos tenido que basar más o menos en la afinación que queremos, que necesitamos. ¿Qué afinación necesitamos? Un re. Pues hemos tenido que calcular mediante planos de instrumentos antiguos, visita a museos, todo eso, conseguir total la largaria que nos daría ese instrumento con esa forma peculiar para que nos diera la afinación que íbamos buscando. Construyo todo tipo de trompetas naturales. Todo tipo de trompetas naturales tienen los planos, entonces más sencillito en el sentido de que tienes el plano correcto y tienes todo muy correcto. Aquí era trabajar sobre para llegar.
Sí, porque el pintor, cuando pinta, no piensa en las medidas, ni piensa que suene, plasma lo que él ve. Y nosotros hemos adaptado lo que él ha visto para que después suene. Eso es lo difícil de este trabajo.
Excuse me. The tuning of the two of the four surviving trumpets from Nuremberg from Nuremberg during the 16th century is comparatively higher than that of instruments made during the following century, although these few sources are insufficient to establish a general pattern for the period. Cesare Bendinelli, a celebrated trumpeter, was a soloist at the court of Vienna between 1567 and 1580, and around 1585 he was playing on an instrument tuned to a pitch of A equal 445 Hz, made by Schnitzer. We have adjusted the tuning of all three instruments to a diapason of A4 equal to 440 to 442 Hz, the current tuning standard, for practical reasons related future ensemble performances. The mouthpiece is a design by one of the authors, Vicente Campos, and has been manufactured by Luis Escribano.
Ahora, Vicente, por favor, ¿podría explicarnos cuáles son las dificultades propias para el intérprete respecto a los instrumentos que se han recreado?
Vamos a ver, yo soy un intérprete de música actual, o sea, para tocar esos instrumentos como Dios manda, que decimos aquí, hemos tenido que buscar una boquilla muy diferente a la mía. Con eso ya supone una adaptación a una nueva boquilla para que puedas hacer la gama armónica y que exista esa fidelidad de la calidad de sonido. Con mi boquilla, primero que aquí no cabe porque la construcción antigua no es igual que la moderna. Aquí en moderna construimos a 11,3 y aquí es mucho más grande para que dé esa calidad de sonido. Después de la boquilla, pues hay que adaptarse a lo que es la afinación nueva, porque yo estoy afinando en do y aquí se afina en re. Entonces el oído tiene que sufrir un tratamiento diferente y escuchar muchas veces las tonalidades para después, porque aquí no hay notas, aquí no hay pistones, que vas una nota detrás de otra, aquí vas saltando armónicos. Y entonces, claro, puede fallar de momento un armónico, que no se trata de eso, y por eso tienes que conseguir un punto de vocalización a la hora de tocarla para que te salgan los 4 armónicos, 5 que saca, que lo saques en la máxima pureza posible. Y eso requiere un trabajo.
Both trumpets of Charles' book are similar in design, unlike that of the Paduan Bible, whose bell is shorter than the main tube. In these two cases, the difference is in the total length. The first one has a length of 106 centimeters, while the second one has a length of 101 centimeters. This slight difference and the corresponding adjustments to the first trumpet, the addition of a lead pipe after the mouthpiece, makes the distance between both fundamental tones as a major second. Vicente, ¿puedes tocar la primera? Sí. La que quieras. Espera, la primera. No, es la del Verón. Sí. This is the trumpet which coincides with that depicted in the Veronese canvas, 1.5 century late. Attending both to the distance between tubes, 6.5 for Veronese's trumpet and 8 for the second one, and the curvature near 5 additional centimeters for each tube could be estimated. It means 115 for the first and 110 centimeters for the second, in addition to the length of the mouthpiece already inserted in the tube. The trumpet in C plays 7 passions on the fundamental C4, and the chimera holding it in the miniature is a hybrid of bird and human. Puedes tocar la segunda. Oh, excuse me. He's really a virtuoso. It's really difficult what he's doing now. The trumpet, the last of the 3 trumpets, the trumpet in D emits 7 passions on the fundamental D4, and the chimera holding it in the miniature looks like a hybrid of a dog and human. Oh, excuse me, of dog and human. This trumpet is different from those of Charles the Noble, as the length of the bell tube is clearly shorter than the main tube, less than half, inversely to the other 2 trumpets. This is the third one. You can play. Please, may you play. This is the type of medieval view trumpet that seems to fit the instrumental prototype that the liturgs represented for the Etruscans, and perhaps also for the Romans. Its sound is much more penetrating and open, strident, not only because of its length, but also because of the larger opening of the bell and the progressive conicity of the entire tube, and the difficulty in emitting it. It is considerably greater here. The second trumpet in D, this, emits 7 passions on the fundamental D4. This is the last one, and we go to the next presentation. Iconography shows that S trumpets were already in use at the end of Quattrocento, and the carved standard trumpet as early as the beginning of Cinquecento. Until then, all medieval brass instruments were made probably straight, without carves, and for this reason limited in length. This is not a minor matter, as it leads to the production of very few sounds in the order of the fundamental and its harmonic series, since there are no mechanisms that allow the tube to be segmented, and everything depends on the technical skill, pressure, and embouchure of the musician. The performer is unable to emit diatonic designs if he does not reach the fourth octave register in the harmonic series, where sufficient harmonics are already available to allow the elaboration of melodic figures without difficulty. This is the reason that conditions the character of military music based on natural brass instruments until Romanticism, forced to orbit recurrently around the major triad. Vicente, to illustrate this problem, we're lucky to have Vicente, who is also eager to play a game. ¿Que estás deseoso de tocar otra vez? Please, Vicente. Show us how your trumpet sounds with minimal effort. En el mínimo esfuerzo tiene nota atrás, de la que tú huyes. En el mínimo esfuerzo, la fundamental. Claro. With a minimal effort. It means the total length of the tube. Okay. No? No, you know what I mean? And now play the next note you can play. Please, play the first. There's the second. He's playing C2, C3. And why not C2, D2? Estás tocando do, dos. Sí. Pero, ¿por qué no you say you can, because he says that the notes aren't there. He can play do. Why he can play do, re, mi? No, impossible. No, impossible? Why? You say it's possible and yeah, but the notes are there. Are you sure? The notes are there. Are you sure? Look carefully. See if they are anywhere. Mira con cuidado. Busca un poco. ¿No? Shake. Maybe un poquito música o algo. Shake the trumpet a little to see if any fall out. No? No, it's in they are not. They are not. If you attend to the notes there on your left, indeed, as we all know, there's nothing inside. It's actually the air that is concentrated and compressed at certain constant points along the tube. And those are the only notes Vicente can play. At these points, the air vibrates in a periodical way, and then we can hear the sound clearly and pitched in tune, but not do, re, mi. Do, re, mi only if he plays in the fourth register. A sufficient length is required to bring this diatonic register closer to a comfortable range for the performer, and this could not happen until the straight tubes of medieval trumpets and clarinos could be carved and bent, doubled and even tripled in length, as happened in the H-shaped trumpet and the Baroque trumpet. This same phenomenon constitutes the main limitation to the sounds that can be emitted by the reconstructions that we have carried out, given that the U-shaped trumpets have a much reduced length compared to, for example, a natural trumpet or a sackbut. The sackbut and trombone soon overcame this limitation, resulting in the only melodic instrument of the family, with the exception of the cornetto, it's a different kind with holes, until the invention of the first valve and piston mechanisms in the mid-19th century. Now, to conclude your presentation, Vicente, please, may you play the harmonic series in this order until you can arrive. Desde base. This was the real problem of natural brass instruments till mid-19th century, when the first systems to segment the tube were available. Well, thank you very much, excuse me. Thank you very much to Vicente and Luis. In a few moments, we can play, you can hear Vicente playing right with one hand. Well, then we go to the next presentation, is the historical, excuse me, the historical fashion, technical, historical. This is my own presentation. One of the three only survival sources of the U-shaped trumpet, around 1400, is coincident with the U-shaped trumpet behind the author of The Wedding at Cania, 1563, Paolo Cagliari, named Veronese. The first one, similar to that depicted on Veronese's back, appears in Charles the Noble's Book of Hours, and it is the property of Cleveland Museum of Art. King of Navarra from 1387 until his death in 1425, Count of Evreux and Duke of Nemours, Charles III's mother was Jeanne de France, or Valois. Since 1254, the Kingdom of Navarra was ruled by monarchs of French lineage, who modernized its political and administrative institutions and raised its international prestige, as did Charles the Noble. Charles did not order his book, but it seems to have been acquired during a trip to Paris in 1404. A similar Book of Hours in the British Library, probably by the same bookseller, has the spaces intended for the coat of arms left blank, awaiting another possible buyer. His coat of arms of the Charles appears on more than 20 pages. In each of the miniatures that occupy half a page and once on a full page. Charles III was called the Noble for his diplomatic qualities, a role he frequently played as a young man at the French court, where he was sent by his father. It seems that he was a lover of books, of which he kept a good number in the library of his palace in Olite. During his reign, the Gothic Cathedral of Pamplona and the royal palaces of Olite and Tafalla were completed, and centuries of conflict between the three cities were ended with their unification. The book we are dealing with measures 20 by 14 centimeters and consists of 334 plates numbered by page up to 668, colored with brown, red, blue, and purple ink, while the illustrations are painted with tempera and gold. The designs show 6 painting styles, 2 Italian, 2 French, and 2 Dutch, indicating a collective work. The artist responsible for planning and decoration, the author of 17 of the largest miniatures, came from Bologna and is known as the master of the Brussels capitals. His main assistant, a Florentine who signed as Cecco on the back of folio 208, made most of the borders surrounding the images. These margins are profusely illustrated with grotesques, many of them paradoxical or nonsensical, and others with references to popular or well-known characters of the time, including animals and chimeras, human-animal, animal-animal, or animal-plant hybrids. As many as 104 of these figures are reading or doing something related to books, and more than 180 include musical instruments, making it the Book of Hours with the most musicians or musical iconographic sources. As we have already pointed out, both trumpets of Charles Book are similar in design, unlike that of the Paduan Bible, whose bell is shorter than the main tube. The only precedent that could be considered for the third type of U-shaped trumpet could be the Etruscan litus. However, it is a fact that the few sources that have reached us, mostly from Tarquinia, are almost 2 millennia older than the Paduan Bible. There are about half a dozen representations of the Jota carved litus in funerary environments. 6 Etruscan sources survive, 3 reliefs on 2 sarcophagi and an urn, and 3 frescoes on tombs, and a Roman one, and also 2 specimens, one of unknown provenance and another from Tarquinia, the upper, found in archaeological sites dating back to the early 7th century BC. The staff shape, given the Jota-shaped carve at its end, is common with one of the attribute symbols of the Augurs, and consequently the representations that appear on some Roman coins may not be referring to the musical instrument. Litus was made of bronze, almost cylindrical, but with a bell carved towards the performer. Regarding the other 17 bronze examples with a Jota curvature, it should be noted that they are considerably shorter and do not show the pronounced curvature of the bell. None of them have been found in Etruscan, Roman, or Celtic environments. These instruments were probably built in medieval times and used as announcement of proclamations or in ceremonial events. The litus, however, does not seem to have had military use in Rome either. In Etruscan funerary context, it seems to be more associated with funerals or religious, political, or civic ceremonies, and the only 2 reliefs from the Roman period show the instrument in the hands of civilians. This gravestone of the cavalry auxiliary Andes of Alla Claudia was founded in Mainz, showing a curiously carved brass instrument which remembers so closely our modern sackbuts. Brass instruments were well established among the Romans, with mouthpieces very similar to those we use today, conical and hemispherical. They knew the art of bending pipes, a technique that was lost in the following centuries and that apparently was not reinvented or recovered until the end of the 14th century. Carving the tube is the best way to increase its length, then bringing the diatonic register to a comfortable performance for the players. In addition to the power, and excuse me, I don't want to do wrong. Yes. In addition to the power, and given the acoustic limitations of the design of brass instruments without mechanisms, they were probably linked during the Middle Ages to military environments or celebrations by nobles or the social elites. There are no indications that they were integrated into purely musical environments or accompanying voices until the Renaissance. The usual arrangement seems to have been a pair of clarinos or trumpets, like this, occasionally of a different size register, and this number increased during the Renaissance. Around 1420, a trumpet ensemble at a noble court might have 5 or 6 regular players, and in some cases, even as many as 10 or 12. It is accepted that the intermediate step that led to the appearance of the sackbut trombone was the incorporation of a sliding tube on the straight body of the clarinos. Although none of these medieval devices have been preserved, this interpretation is supported by engravings and paintings in which the tube appears to be sectioned. The performer grasps the part closest to the mouthpiece with one hand, while the other seems to push the body of the instrument. The most renowned example are the 4 angels from a triptych by Hans Memling, The Last Judgment. This is 1, this is 2, this is 3, and the other one I don't remember where it is, but there are 4. The illustration from the cover of Hermann Fink's Practica Musica 1556 shows two instruments in the upper left corner, which are not gramphones, as the capsule containing the double reeds is not depicted. It resembles a mouthpiece and not a capsule. Consequently, they could be probably designed similar to that of the litus, as the mouthpiece seems to indicate. We can find a litus-type instrument in the allegory of gluttony and lust by Hieronymus Bosch, and a shoulder trombone painted over the organ case of St. John the Baptist Cathedral in Perpignan, around 1504. This pretty depiction of two shoulder trombones was painted by the Czech painter monk Siard Nosecki in 1732. Siard was born in 1693 and died in 1753. It is a trompe-l'oeil frescoe of the monastery of Strahov near Prague. This is a self-portrait of this monk, painted monk, which we see next. We can appreciate the terrific Strahov Theological Hall, Nosecki's self-portrait. Excuse me. Terrific, really. If he painted this, this is the self-portrait of Nosecki, can be appreciated here. It's the same. This is in black and white, and this is in color. We have not located any other similar characteristic design in brass instruments, that is, with the bell carved towards the player, with the exception of a curious instrument called shoulder trombone, based on what appears to be a rod, and of which a dozen representations have been preserved. And a romantic design by Sachs is this, Adolf Sachs, a model adapted to military parades during the American Civil War. On the other hand, and as a counterpart, the limitation to the triad, in addition to powerful sound, was also decisive due to its usefulness for the emission of unmistakable signals in naval, war, and military environments. The things accompanying musical sources from the early Quattrocento showed that the brass melodies consisted of designs entirely based on the triad. However, it seems that around 14 and 30, some performers were already able to reach beyond the eighth harmonic. Excuse me, yes. We are showing, we are showing the harmonic series over the fundamental C2. Harmonics are shown in a linear way and no concomitant and packets as they occur in nature. These are the only sounds, and in this precise order, that a natural brass pipe can emit, as Vicente will be so kind to play for us. ¿Puedes tocar esas notas por orden hasta donde llegues? ¿Qué usa ahí? Sí. De una en una. He can go more away. Okay, just a minute. Esta ya la podemos pasar. A later collection of manuscripts, a later collection of manuscripts written in the mid-1440s is very illustrative about the skills of these brass musicians. Its author, Jorge Trombetta, was a trumpeter and trombonist who settled in Venice around 1480. His drawing of a trombone is the oldest preserved one. He had previously worked for years until 1449 on one of the Venetian galleys that traveled regularly between England and Flanders. These musicians were responsible for signaling between Venetian commercial vessels, announcing the beginning and end of meals and dinners, summoning the loading of luggage and passengers, and announcing their presence in ports and to friendly ships. They also entertained parties or ceremonies for their own officers or nobles from the cities where they stopped over. Zorzi Trombetta transcribed some of the pieces heard there and added counterpoint to some of them, probably for his own interpretation. His documents attest that he had received musical and compositional training and that the instrument he played was indeed capable of emitting a complete diatonic scale. 2 decades later, an observer at the court of the Duke of Saxony reports that he was stunned in 1474 by the dance music played by trumpeters. He said, higher than it is possible to imagine. The source seemed to establish that these musicians reached well beyond the 8th harmonic, perhaps even beyond the 12th harmonic. These practices could be considered as the precedent of the future clarino technique, later used until the end of the 18th century. This technique was taught among professionals during the Baroque, and the guilds prohibited his diffusion and dissemination outside their professional environment. It can be defined as the ability to generate diatonic, do, re, mi, or chromatic motifs, do, re, mi, in the high register of a natural pipe, the fourth of the harmonic series, as already indicated. He is Giorgio da Castelfranco. Giorgione, we began a presentation with him. The missing painter who was the protagonist of the original concert in Veronese's wedding at Cania, contemplating his own pending funeral mass in a silent attitude. He was a competent and renowned lutenist. As we had not a portrait for Zorzi Trombetta, we choose Giorgione, also known in his times as Giorgio or Giorgi. Oh, okay. We arrived to the performers show, y ahora es cuando puedes mostrarnos tus habilidades. Pero ponte de pie, ¿no? Tú verás mejor. Now Vicente play for us not single design, like, but his own show. The third trumpet appears at the Paduan Bible, the only illustrated Bible that survives from the Italian Gothic. This trumpet is a different specimen from those of Charles the Noble, since the length of the bell tube is clearly shorter than the main tube. This is the type of medieval U-shaped trumpet that seems to fit the instrumental prototype that the liturgy represented for Etruscans and perhaps for the Romans. Paduan Bible has been divided into 2 fragments since the 16th century. One is in the Accademia dei Concordi in Rovigo and another in the British Library, the one that concerns us here. Likewise, the 2 oldest direct representations of a literary workshop, I told you earlier, are that of Johann Christoph Weigel the Older and that which appears in the French Encyclopedia. However, we believe that the oldest is that which appears on the same plate before the third source we are dealing with, the U-shaped trumpet of the Paduan Bible. To conclude, we may see briefly. No, I want to show you this video, but I think it's better Penelope Sanz reads her presentation, and if there is 3 minutes, This is this video are the 4 minutes in HA lectures in Baltimore, in University of Maryland College Park. But when you want Penelope's house, ¿qué? No, pasas tú ya. Lo pondré después. Vas a leer, ¿ya? Please. No, ahora voy a pedirle otro.
The presentation is not so exciting. Good morning. As you know, during many years, our team has been studying a wide variety of aspects of Veronese painting the Weymouth Canal. A few years ago, thanks to the X-rays taken on the painting in the 19th, we identified the silhouette of a musical instrument that doesn't correspond to the ones we know today. Sorry. No pasa.
Sorry.
No me pasa. Sorry. No pasa.
¿Has abierto tu PowerPoint?
Sí, claro. Dame con la...
18.
Ah, claro. 5. Ya ha pasado. Ahora sí. Sorry. Just a moment. Ah, ya está. Cosas del director. This was a painting by the artist. It's useful to analyze in the musical context of the entire scene. But also, as well we will done here, we shall explore the iconographic background of this ancient instrument. Medieval illuminated manuscripts and decoration of the churches frequently feature hybrid characters, both human-animal or animal-animal, engaged in musical activities, often in the margins of the text and manuscripts. These with musical depictions showcase a range of instruments and musical roles, adding a playful and imaginative element. Along with King David, animals were the main musicians featured in medieval illuminations, far numerous than angels and ministers. The most common were animals. They were primarily monkeys, dogs, foxes, and especially hybrid characters, a mixture of human and animal, or mythical or fantastical animals. In this video presentation, we will limit ourselves to showing only a few of these illustrations, keeping, as far as possible, a chronological order. The first one we want to show here is that of St. Martin's Church sailing. Romanesque St. Martin's Church in Scilly, in Switzerland, has a rigid painted wooden ceiling with 153 images. Three of them depictions of mermaids with split tails playing musical instruments are present. The one we show here is playing a horn. These mermaids are notable, as they differ from the traditional, where mermaids have a single tail. In the views SPC-RF that you see here, you can see a pair of mermaids, one of them playing a natural horn. This depiction is come from the Book of Treasures, now at the National Library of Russia, St. Petersburg. The book is a bestiary,
and it is believed that is the first encyclopedia in the modern European language, more precisely from Italy or France. Despite the poor definition of the image we were able to obtain, we can see here the lack of holes in the tube. In the British Library, the Royal GD6 in his folio, we found here this cute rabbit playing a horn. The text is a copy of Petrus Camsteror Historia Scholastica and a paraphrase of the Acts of the Apostles, attributed to Petrus Picaviensis. Around the same time, we find another illustration with a two-tailed mermaid playing a plain horn in a bestiary d'amor or bestiary de love of love from the northern Italy. Mermaid with two tails playing horn or pipe is similar to the last scene we see earlier of St. Martin Church sailing more than 150 years before. We can see the absence of finger holes is evident, and the weight of the instrument is held with one hand stands out as well. You can see as well its ornamentation. We move forward a little to find ourselves in France with the IMS, which shows a new character, this time a half human, half bird, playing a horn. The manuscript is located in the National Library of France, specifically deposited in the Arsenal Library. In this enlargement of the image, it is possible to observe the position of the hands that hold the instrument symmetrically. But let's move further to find the second animal we will show you here. It's a donkey, okay? It's found in the British Library in the Royal IMS2B7 manuscript. The instrument it plays is clearly a trumpet, as will be shown later. The exact origin of this document is unknown, although this is probably from London or Westminster, or perhaps East Anglia. The manuscript is a Queen Mary Psalter, and illustrates a detail of from the vast page a scene of a donkey playing a trumpet and a cat. You can see here playing a tambour. We can see that along the length of the instrument, there are some circular elements. I don't know if you can see here. Yes? Perhaps diagrams. The three examples we studied and reconstructed, the three exemplars studied and reconstructed by our team appear below. All come from the house of Charles the Noble in the Cleveland Museum of Art. The first one, in marginal decoration, illustrates an hybrid character, half man, half dog, performing the U-shaped trumpet. As my colleagues have mentioned before, the horse of Charles the Noble belonged to the King of Navarre. The second one is in also a marginal decoration on another folio. And again, here we see an hybrid character, half man, half dog, but this time playing a S-shaped trumpet. And to conclude, the third one that we will show from the same source seems to show the same type of hybrid character between man and dog. Also, you can see the hosts are not present. You cannot conclude that is a dog. Well, let's go to see the next animal. Let's move forward and stay forward in time and space to France, where is a new animal. Specifically a rabbit, which acts as horn or trumpet player. It sits with the instrument between his front paws. But is not the only animal musician we find in the Morgan Library. On folio 74, an animal appears that combines characteristics of a monkey or a bear. So there is no agreement of its affiliation. In this case, the instrument it appears to be playing is a horn. The following character appears in the 15th century manuscript at the DMS on the British Library in London. In this case, it's a very hybrid character that doesn't not show his hands and holds a U-shaped trumpet directly with his mouth. It is a detail of an initial word panel with penboard decoration and pen flourishing created in Italy or Spain. Note the fleur-de-lis displaying on the shell. Oh, sorry, this is only possible here. Fleur-de-lis. We also see that appears to be that the instrument appears to have two garlands, circular garlands. This lion is the Harley in S, dated from the second quarter of the 15th century, also preserved in the British Library. The animal holds a trumpet with its claws. The manuscript was probably created in Gent-Tournai area in the Netherlands. Oh, sorry.